Hello and welcome to my Diversity and Inclusion workshop using Universal Design. My name is Haley Zastrow and I will be covering the diversity component of cultural competence and diversity initiatives. The environment I chose for this project is Stone State Park, located in Sioux City, Iowa, and my target audience will be the State Park Service agency that works there. At the end of this workshop, one should be able to support the educational efforts of cultural competence and diversity initiatives in state parks by providing an understanding and appreciation of other cultures. Quote, fair as opposed to equal treatment entails more analysis and examination, maybe more research and consideration. It usually involves more time and more thinking and is likely to require a different type of thinking. With different thinkers and different perspectives around the table, if you're compassionate about justice, then give the concept of fairness a fair chance. End quote. My diversity focus area is on cultural competence and diversity initiatives, which signifies education oneself on other cultures to understand them better and value their perspectives. The diversity focus area includes individuals across diverse cultures. Quote, cultural competence is the ability of an individual to understand and respect values, attitudes, beliefs, and more that differ across cultures and to consider and respond appropriately to these differences in planning, implementing, and evaluating health education and promotion programs and interventions. End quote. The current issue that surrounds cultural competence are cultural destructiveness, cultural incapacity, and cultural blindness. Cultural destructiveness is identified by attitude, policies, and practices within the organization that are destructive to a cultural group. Cultural incapacity, to put it plainly, is racism or maintaining stereotypes. This is the lack of capacity of organizations to respond effectively to the needs, interests, and preferences of cultural and linguistic diverse groups. Cultural blindness is an inability to understand individuals from different cultural backgrounds because of their views, attitudes, and values that differ. This leads to many alternatives to the tendency to ignore all differences among cultures and to act as though the differences do not exist and to treat all people the same when each person is different. The issues of inclusion that are currently happening in this diversity focus area are employees from some cultures that may be less likely to have their voices heard, lack of knowledge of various ethnic and cultural groups, and lack of organizational support. Some positive growth that is in the state parks have noticed that they do not have a diverse team, therefore they are acknowledging this issue and have shared employee stories to help spread awareness and promote representation by using diverse cultural perspectives. By utilizing diverse cultural perspectives, many can become inspired through creativity and innovative ideas. Utilizing cultural sensitivity, insight, and local knowledge allows the organization to develop a team to captivate and use the best talent, which can provide a more productive and hardworking team. Using these benefits causes a greater opportunity for personal and professional growth that promotes unity. Quote, and with understanding will come less fear, more comfort, and great appreciation for all things that make us unique, and all things we have in common. Strangers we will become less strange. End quote. What is universal design? Quote, universal design is the design and composition of an environment so that it can be accessed, understood, and used to the greatest extent possible by all people regardless of their age, size, ability, or disability. End quote. The 7 principles of universal design include, number 1, equitable use, which develops a space that is becoming for all individuals that can utilize the space in safe and inclusive ways. Number 2, flexibility in use provides an accommodating and accessible space to various preferences and abilities. Number 3, simple and intuitive use, the ability to easily understand one's environment regardless of one's own experiences. Number 4, preferable information, being able to effectively communicate information that can be presented in diverse formats. The principles continued are number 5, tolerance for error, minimizes problems with the environment along with key elements safety and is actively promoted to keep individuals safe. Number 6, low physical effort. Environment is used effectively and includes features that reduce fatigue on individuals along with their needs. Number 7, size and space for approach and use. Environment is comfortable and useless for people with diverse physical abilities. Cultural competence has a connection to universal design that builds understanding in environments. For instance, in state parks, the rangers are able to discover new opportunities by co-designing duties, activities, and lessons. They are able to work together and observe what they can to make better or what is missing. They are able to create a learning environment that is accessible and important to each individual. Another example is how rangers are able to share their personal experiences and stories with the environment to help others understand that they are not alone and have every chance to get hired in the parks. This also aids in the connection between representation and cultural diversity. Let's focus on physical design of a workplace designed for cultural competence. First, we must observe our surroundings and notice is the environment inclusive. Workplaces should be designed for each individual and flex with their needs. The environment must ensure all cultures are respected, welcomed, and encouraged because representation is important to each individual. Does the workplace include posters that promote cultural diversity, that aid in cultural competence? Everyone should be a part of the team and feel like they belong. The company's actions for a workplace designed for cultural competence stresses the changes they need to develop and live by in order to tackle this issue. They utilize cultural diversity programs which allow experiences to build more lasting relationships with community partners. The Support of National Park Service, or NPS, climate program caters to what employees or guests will need. The Support of NPS climate program is an underrepresentation park constituency provided by an agency's attitude or orientation towards diversity issues in a general sense. The employee expectations for a workplace designed for cultural competence stresses the importance of understanding cultural awareness by knowing the community you serve and that you are a part of. As an individual, one can reflect and identify areas of growth by listening and observing their team. Another important step is to develop cross-cultural skills by recognizing every individual and their differences. Individuals must take the initiative to provide adequate space to discuss cultural differences and restructure norms built on cultural competency. Quote, the universal competency and core values serve as the foundation that connects all employees of the NPS, regardless of their occupation, position, background, experience, and expertise, to work effectively together as leaders for the service's future. End quote. You can get better at cultural competence by educating yourself and others on cultural differences to gain more understanding and welcoming and embracing differences. Some advocates and workplaces that promote cultural competence are Starbucks, Arizona State University, and Nike. Starbucks is committed to upholding a culture where inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility are valued and respected. Arizona State University promotes identity, inclusion, and expressions to build a strong community. They lead the initiative to collaborating to build intersectional programs that celebrate cultural identities, foster a sense of belonging on campus, and help expand a cultural awareness of all students. Nike, the brand, is built upon and built off of inclusivity, diversity, culture, and equality in their vision and mission. The people they hire, the people they use in their campaigns, and athletes to sponsor the brand displays Nike's efforts for representation. These organizations offer support and training to their employees, which encourages them to value diversity, be conscious of cultural differences, have institutionalized cultural knowledge, and have policies to protect these differences. Now is the time for words to become actions. We know diversity and inclusion are essential in the workplace. This involves everyone from all backgrounds. I feel the need to discuss cultural competence today because it involves all of us, every single individual. We need to be the change we wish to see, and it must start with us. Cultural competence is important because it allows us to create relationships and better understand individuals from different backgrounds. Without it, it would make relationships difficult to form and hard to understand others, and our own biases may get in the way. Quote, effectively engaging in diversity and walking in the worlds of others requires well-meaning, compassion, and fair-minded people to live mindfully, embrace humility, and act courageously. End quote. I have included a few resources that give everyone a wonderful opportunity to pursue more insight into cultural competence. I included my favorite childhood book that was later made into a movie, The Joy Luck Club. The Joy Luck Club explores the contrast between Chinese and American culture. It provides various stories from different families and focuses on honoring their Chinese heritage while creating a culture in America. The book I Never Thought of It That Way by Monica Guzman. The book talks about her culture and how her parents voted for someone twice. In her book, she provides a curious outlook to her goal is to get curious people to open their minds so that we can look under the surface and observe each other's humanity. Lastly, the TED Talk by Garcia Bartitti talks about her personal experiences growing up in Maine and being a minority in her city. She stresses the importance of existing in both cultures from her parents' origin to her being a first-generation U.S. citizen. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.